Cardcaptor Sakura is one of the most infamous and popular magical girl anime ever made. Many people have it among their favourite anime ever. However, the anime is quite old. It aired between 1998 and 2000. So is this a case of nostalgia where people look back on the series through rose-tinted goggles? Or is this anime legitimately great? And something that still stands the test of time? Well, before we answer that question, there's an even more important question that needs to be answered. What is Cardcaptor Sakura even about? Cardcaptor Sakura follows the titular character of the show, Sakura. Sakura, one day whilst in her home, finds a book filled with a bunch of cards. However, due to Sakura having a case of the Butterfingers, she ends up losing all the cards and they get scattered throughout the surrounding area. Then Kero-chan, the guardian of the book, wakes from his slumber to discover that Sakura has lost all the cards that he was meant to be protecting. After much encouragement from Kero-chan, Sakura finally agrees to help look for and capture the cards, hence the name Cardcaptor Sakura. Now it's worth mentioning that these cards are magic and have numerous negative effects on the world, such as creating earthquakes, destroying property, and even nearly drowning people. Fortunately, Sakura herself has a fair bit of magic at her disposal. If she didn't, she would never have been able to open the book in the first place. It's also why she can capture the cards. Once she does capture the cards, she can then utilise them when battling against the other cards that are wreaking havoc on the neighbourhood. This is the aspect of Cardcaptor Sakura that I actually like the best, because Sakura doesn't just spam the same cards over and over in the series, she actually thinks about which card is best for the situation. Yes, certain cards are a lot more useful than others, and there are some cards that she seems to never use. There were times where I'd go, use this card, and then she would, and I'd feel like a genius for knowing which card could tackle the situation the best. And then other times, she'd use a card that I would never have thought of using in a million years that also solves the situation. This is a very creative anime, in my opinion, with creative powers. I like that a lot of the solutions to the problems in this anime are as equally creative. To give an example, one of my favourite captures in this series is when Sakura captures the silent card. This hopefully won't come as a shock, but to get near the silent card, you're not allowed to make any noise, otherwise you'll be pushed to a different location further away. After a few attempts of trying to get near the card without making any noise, Sakura and her friends finally do get to it without making a sound. Unfortunately, Sakura needs to say a spell or an enchantment or something along those lines so that she can capture the card. That means that as soon as she opens her mouth to capture the card, she's already sent far away from it. So to deal with this issue, Sakura uses the shadow card and uses her own shadow to touch the card while she says the spell from a far enough away distance. What's most interesting about this to me is that the silent card is not even in the manga. In the manga, there are only 19 cloak cards that Sakura needs to capture, whilst in the anime, there are 53 cards that Sakura captures. As you can probably surmise, there is a fair bit of filler in this anime. In fact, almost 50% of the original anime is filler. There is so much filler in this anime that it makes Naruto blush. However, when I watched this anime, I didn't know how much filler there was, and I'll be completely honest with you, I couldn't tell when there was filler in this anime. It is indistinguishable from the manga canon content. If you are thinking of watching this anime, then I recommend watching all of it, because there is no noticeable decline in quality for any of the episodes. It probably helps that this is an anime by Madhouse. Madhouse may have lost a little bit of their luster in recent years, although series like Frieren are serving as a great reminder of what the studio is capable of, but Madhouse used to be the number one. They were the anime studio back in the day. They were pumping out lots of anime, and they were all of high quality too. They were basically what Mappa are now, which isn't a surprise as Mappa was born from Madhouse. But anyway, as I said, Madhouse were and still are a great studio, and Cardcaptor Sakura was made years ago, when Madhouse were dominating. Unsurprisingly, the animation still holds up. There is fluidity to the animation, and even the most mundane of activities are actually afforded good animation. This anime does look old though, and it has undoubtedly been surpassed. But you can tell that there was a lot of talented animators working on this, and it still looks better than a lot of the anime created today. And if it looks better than a lot of anime made today, imagine how good this series must have looked for people when they were watching it whilst it was airing. However, as good as this series still looks, and as creative as it can be, sometimes I could get a little bored watching it. There are 53 cards that Sakura captures in this series. After a certain point, a formula does form, and you kind of figure the gist of how every episode is going to play out. And it does result in this show lacking a lot of stakes, because of course Sakura is going to have captured the card by the end of the episode. Although there are a couple of episodes that do buck the trend, such as the episode where Sakura spends a lot of time hanging out with this old man. That description doesn't sound as wholesome as the episode actually is, but trust me, it was a very sweet episode. I really bought the friendship the two fostered, and there was a surprising amount of depth to a character who only appeared in approximately 2 episodes. But generally, a lot of the episodes play out in a predictable manner. Fortunately, the characters in this anime are strong enough to make us want to follow them. Why is the crocodile giving me that look? I'm not crazy, am I? That crocodile is giving off a certain vibe with those eyes, right? Fortunately, that's one of the plushies that doesn't come to life in this anime. But anyway, we're supposed to be talking about the characters in this anime, and luckily for us, they are great. Now I'm not going to talk about every major character in this anime. 1, because some characters are hard to talk about without discussing spoilers, and 2, some of the characters suck, and I don't really have much to say about them anyway. Fortunately, I have a lot to say about Sakura, the lead character in this anime. I've already spoken about how creative she can be, so I won't really discuss that aspect of her character much further. What I will say is that I really liked that she was a child character that actually talked and acted like a child. She's not the brightest bulb, but it doesn't feel like she's stupid, it just feels like she's a kid that doesn't really know how to respond to the situation. It takes her a beat longer than it should to grasp certain things that an adult would figure out in a second. She can also get annoyed very easily, especially when it comes to her older brother. One of my favourite aspects of this anime is the family dynamic that Sakura has. The way that her and her older brother act is very relatable, especially in the way that he winds her up and she gets annoyed extremely quickly. Honestly, it reminded me of my relationship with my younger brother. The two of them are great chemistry together, and you get the sense that despite their bickering, they do both genuinely really care for one another. In my opinion, Sakura's relationship with her brother is genuinely one of the best depictions of a sibling relationship that I've ever seen in an anime. It helps that Toya, her brother, is a major character in this anime too, and his layers are slowly pulled back as the series progresses. I also like how both Sakura and Toya take great care of their father. Their father is an undeniably kind man, and after the death of their mother, he has made sure to raise his children with the best care single-handedly. It's no wonder that his children are so grateful and always return the favour. The family dynamic isn't the core aspect of this show, but it is an important one, and Cardcaptor Sakura nailed it. It's nice and wholesome, and even with the tragedy of the mom's death before the series, you can tell how strong the bond is in this family unit. It really should come as no surprise that Sakura's defining characteristic is her kindness. She's nice to the people around her, she's even kind to her cards, and they love her back too. They are magic, so don't be surprised that they are alive. Sakura isn't the most complicated of characters, but she's certainly among the nicest and most sincere. The only thing that I don't really like about Sakura is that she sometimes makes some really annoying noises. I never really found Asta annoying in Black Clover with his high-pitched screams, but there was something about Sakura's noises that made me twist my head in disgust. Outside of Sakura and Toya, there's Tomoyo. Now I'm going to be honest, I don't like Tomoyo. You could have removed her from this anime and it wouldn't have changed things dramatically at all. The main reason I don't like her is because she's just a bit weird. She has this strange fascination with Sakura. It's clearly a romantic love. One of the things that will make this a hit with certain people is its surprisingly strong LGBT themes. This is an anime from the 90s, and whilst never outright said, it's clear that Tomoyo is a lesbian, like her mum, which raises the question of where Tomoyo came from since there's no dad around. But regardless, Tomoyo has a bizarre obsession with Sakura. Why is it bizarre? Well, because Tomoyo likes to film everything that Sakura does. It borders on creepy territory for me since Tomoyo derives pleasure from watching videos of Sakura. It's just a bit much honestly, and the sad thing is that that's all there really is to Tomoyo. She's a one-note character in my opinion, and that one note is weird. She doesn't play a large part in the story and only really gets in the way of action scenes because she's constantly trying to film everything, although she does make the outfits in this show. Sakura wears a lot, and I mean a lot, of different costumes in this show when she's capturing the cards, and the outfits are very hit and miss. Some actually really suit Sakura and fit the magical girl vibe, and others make Sakura look like a jester or even a frog. However, it is an aspect of the anime that I did like, so I guess at least Tomoyo was able to provide that. Luckily, I enjoyed the other characters in this series significantly more. Shaoran is a great character. Unlike Tomoyo, there was only one thing that I didn't like about him, and that was that I spent most of this series thinking his name was Xiaolang because of the subtitles. I'm still not 100% sure what his actual name is. This is like an Aerith from Final Fantasy VII situation all over again. But anyway, I really liked Shaoran. Like Sakura, there's a childish vibe to him. He doesn't hold back when he talks to Sakura, often saying everything without a filter, just like a child would. He can be a little mean and competitive, but a lot of that stems from the strict training he had underwent to collect the cards compared to Sakura, who was collecting them after losing them in the first place. However, Shaoran isn't a bad guy, and he mellows out a lot over the series, especially in regards to Sakura. He wants to prove himself, but realises that there's more to life than that. Also, I just like that both him and Sakura fell for Yukito, and weren't sure how to express themselves around him. Sakura tries to appear as girly and reliable as possible, whereas Shaoran just goes mute and tries to give everything he owns to Yukito. It's honestly a surprise that he didn't just give all the cards that he collected to Yukito. Again, not the most complicated of characters, but there's a kindness underneath his harsh exterior that becomes more apparent the longer that he's on screen, and that's why I really liked his character. However, my favourite character is undoubtedly Kero-chan. He's just the best. First, there are two versions of Kero-chan. There's the cute, cuddly, basically a little teddy version of Kero, and then there's the strong, majestic true form of Kero where he's a lion with wings and he breathes fire. Most of the time though, he's the little teddy. Kero is just the most fun character in this show. He acts more like a child than the actual children in the show. He throws tantrums and rolls all over the floor when he doesn't get the sweets that he wants. He spends all day playing video games, he bickers and fights with Shaoran and Meiling when they go on missions. Considering he's supposed to be the guardian of the cards, he doesn't really act as dignified as you'd expect someone with that title would, and that's precisely why he's my favourite character in the show. Everyone else is trying to deal with the mundanities of life, and Kero is just enjoying being awake, since he was asleep in the book for so long. However, Kero does occasionally take things seriously, and that's when he pulls out the ultimate form. Kero is a pretty fun and unique character in my book, and anytime the show made me laugh, it was because of his character. Plus, as a Bleach fan, I love discovering that Ai Hisakawa, who voices the more harmless version of Kero, is also the voice of Unohana, and Masaya Onosaka, who voices the lion version of Kero, is also the voice of Shinji. Both of them were great as those characters, as well as Kero. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Meiling. Like Shaoran, she comes to Japan from China in search of the Clo cards. However, unlike Shaoran and Sakura, Meiling doesn't have any magic. I like that this aspect feeds into her character development. Meiling loves Shaoran and wants to prove herself to him, but by doing so, she only really hinders things for everyone, as Shaoran has to often rescue her. She's reckless, but there's a reason for her recklessness, and that's what makes her sympathetic, because she's trying so hard to get Shaoran to fall for her, but sadly Shaoran doesn't love her back, and it was actually really interesting to see Meiling eventually come to terms with that. In her first appearance, Meiling comes across as very immature, but by the end of the series, she feels like one of the most mature out of everyone. She undeniably changed for the better, and is even the character that a lot of the other characters go to for support. So that's the characters, or at least the ones that I'm going to talk about. Overall, I think they are pretty good. It is worth pointing out that this is a show aimed at children, so the characters aren't that deep, because they don't need to be. It's just that Cardcaptor Sakura was one of those shows that both kids and adults could enjoy together. So let's answer the question of this video. Is Cardcaptor Sakura still worth watching? For the most part, I would say yes. It won't be for everyone, but for a lot of people this anime will have stood the test of time, and there was enough here that I thought was good enough to make it an anime that I would recommend to certain people. Its characters are on the whole really good, it has fantastic animation for an anime of its era, its story isn't too complicated, which is fine as this is a series which spends more time focusing on the characters than the plot, and it even has 2 pretty good movies as well. I won't lie, I did struggle to stay awake whilst watching the first one though. Not because it's bad, but instead because I was really tired whilst watching it, and the second one acts as a nice conclusion to the series. Cardcaptor Sakura isn't my favourite anime ever made, but it is one that I really enjoyed watching. This anime is still worthy of your time, and I feel like this will be the perfect anime for some people. However, Cardcaptor Sakura doesn't end there. See, Cardcaptor Sakura actually received a sequel in 2018, a sequel called Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. Now in this portion of the video where I talk about Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card, I will be discussing spoilers. That's because it's a sequel and there's certain things I want to talk about that are hard to discuss without going into spoilery specifics. So take this as your one and only spoiler warning. First of all, I'm going to go against the grain here. Generally, people prefer the original series over this sequel. However, I think I actually enjoyed Clear Card more. The only thing that I liked a lot more in the original series is its art style. There's just something wonderfully nostalgic about how Cardcaptor Sakura looked that was lost the instant I started watching Clear Card, although the significantly better animation on display here more than makes up for that. Once again, Madhouse are back at it, and like I said, they are a fantastic studio. I genuinely think that Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card is one of the best looking anime that I've ever seen. I don't want to misinform you though, there are plenty of anime that have individual moments that surpass everything shown in this sequel series. However, Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card has consistency. It never hits the heights in terms of animation that you might be hoping for, but it never drops below a certain baseline either. And that is something that I think I prefer over other anime when the animation quality is constantly fluctuating. That said, animation quality is not the reason why I preferred this series over the original. The reason why I like this one more is because it filled in those blanks that I felt were missing from the original. One of the things that I didn't like about the original series is that it blueballed us a little. After a certain point in the story, Shaoran gets over his feelings for Yukito and realises that he's in love with Sakura. And then we spend more episodes than we should waiting for him to confess his feelings. That is one thing that I didn't like about the original series, is that sometimes it felt like it was dragging its feet. Maybe that's an issue that resulted from the large amount of filler, or maybe the anime didn't provide a good enough distraction to stop me from wanting to see the two get together. But regardless, Shaoran eventually does confess his feelings to Sakura. I think he does it either in the penultimate or final episode of the series, but as you can probably tell, we never really got to see the two of them as a couple. Clear Card means that we can finally now see the two of them as a couple. I'm going to admit, I'm a sucker for romance, and there is just something sweet about seeing the two of them going on dates. It really helps that Shaoran is now very different compared to how he was when he was first introduced. He is much kinder and a lot more mature. He no longer feels the need to prove himself and instead only wants to make Sakura happy. Plus, his love for Sakura brings out a different side of him, even compared to when he had the hots for Yukito. Shaoran, like Sakura, does the stereotypical embarrassed blush and looks away when he sees her. As mature as he has become, it's nice to see that a childish innocence remains in him, and the same can be said for Sakura. I also like that this series actually has a villain. I won't spoil who, but in the original series there weren't really any villains. Both Yue and Eriol were definitely antagonists, but both of them turned out to just be testing Sakura and basically were allies anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if the villain in Clear Card is a repeat of that, but I do like there's at least some mystery to their motivations. There's no secret in the original series that Yue and Eriol are actually not that bad. Yes, they are causing trouble for Sakura, but it's clear that they're not evil. I like that I'm not 100% certain about whether the villain in Clear Card is actually a villain or not. Although the series does play up a little mystery surrounding the identity of the villain, which falls a little flat because there aren't many options as to who it could be. And when it's revealed, you just go, duh, obviously it's them. On top of the progression of Sakura and Shaoran's relationship, and the potential introduction of an actual villain, I also much prefer the pacing of this sequel series. It doesn't feel like the show is constantly dragging its feet, and episodes feel less formulaic. I've seen episodes where Sakura captures multiple cards, and episodes where she catches none. It probably helps that unlike the original series, there is zero filler content in Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. Everything you see in this series is manga canon. They even had a special episode released before this series so that they could tie the ending of the original anime, which wasn't one-to-one with the manga, to the beginning of this anime. I know that people legitimately loved the original series, but after binging the two together, I really did enjoy this sequel more. Unfortunately, this sequel series is not finished. Fortunately, the second season has been announced. I don't know when it will air, but I do believe that Madhouse are returning once again. The reason is that they announced the second season on April Fools, so obviously people are like, please, please, please don't let this be a sick joke, please. And clearly it wasn't. But one of the organisations that responded to the fans over this query were Madhouse themselves. So it looks like they are involved in season 2. The studio, famous for being unable to count to 2 most of the time, are booking their own trend. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to the second season, and I think that's the greatest indication that you could have as to whether Cardcaptor Sakura is still worth watching. Both the original series and its sequel series are really good. It does not rank among my favourite anime, but I would not be surprised by anyone who does have it in their own lists. I'm also not the target audience for this anime, and I still loved it. It has incredible animation, it has lovely characters. Personally, I didn't love the music for this anime, but that is me. I'm someone who personally prefers the openings to an anime like Black Clover, but unsurprisingly, those don't really fit here. And what is present here absolutely does fit the vibe of this anime. It's just a really nice show, and for a lot of people, that's the type of show that they need. And that's why I think Cardcaptor Sakura is still worth watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please do leave a like. I don't know if I'm going crazy, but my last few videos just haven't been doing as well. So I'd really appreciate a like, as that boosts its chances in the YouTube algorithm. Also, please leave a comment too. Do you like Cardcaptor Sakura? Do you prefer the original series or the sequel series? Are you excited for season 2 of Clear Cards? And who's your favourite character? I actually want to see someone in the comments convince me that Tomoyo is actually the greatest thing since sliced bread. And lastly, do subscribe too please. I'm aiming to hit 1000 subscribers before the end of 2024, and it really does seem to be an attainable goal. I think we can do it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.